Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where today these two cars are uncovered because we are going to be talking about what happens if you combine the AMG GT platform with the Black Series. Yes, we've all seen the spy shots of test cars, and AMG GT Black Series is coming. Today I'd like to talk about what we know about it so far and whether one might become a future Shmeemobile. Of course, I love my AMG GTRs, the GTR I had for 2 years, the Pro that I've owned now for 6 months, but haven't quite yet used as much as I would like. Today though, I'm going to be taking it out for a drive over to Little Legends because one of our containers has arrived, which is very exciting. We'll get the cars unpacked, sort out some paperwork around those as well. But of course, I've always loved the Black Series. The SLS Black Series has always been one of my favorites. There have now been 5 different Black Series models, but it looks like the 6th is right around the corner. So today, let's talk about the AMG GT Black Series. I actually think it's really cool to have these two cars side by side. Of course, technically the SLS was the predecessor to the AMG GT, the 2-seat platforms from AMG. In fact, there are some things that are shared between the two cars to do with the chassis and the underpinnings. There will be an all-new platform that comes for the next generation that will replace the AMG GT in due course. Now, the GT originally arrived on the scene with the AMG GTS and the regular GT. They were followed up by the GTR, then we had the GTC, we had the Roadsters, we had the GT R Pro limited to 750 units, the GTR Roadster limited to 750, which mine will be arriving later this year, and next it looks like we're going to have the GT Black Series. Of course, there are some fundamental differences between the two generations. The old car has that 6.2 litre naturally aspirated V8, the new car has the 4 litre twin turbo V8, but what is quite interesting is that it looks like the new Black Series is going to have an entirely new engine even compared to this one, which is quite an interesting thing to talk about. It will push the power up, it will push the red line up significantly. I think it should be quite interesting, albeit I understand it might be quite a lot quieter. If you've seen any of the videos of the GT Black Series being tested out on the Nürburgring, it does sound a lot softer than even this, thanks to, well, being a flat plane crank instead of a cross plane, and thanks to also OPFs and other legislation, which is not very exciting. However, Black Series is about AMG making their already very cool cars even cooler. Of course, there's a lot of development work that's gone into them. In the case of this and the new car, I think it's been about a 2-year lead time of development. Obviously, they take their learnings from the likes of their GT3 cars. This took a lot of characteristics from the SLS GT3 into SLS Black Series. They've been very successful with those, just as they have with the new AMG GT3, and no doubt a lot of those bits of functionality and bits from the AMG 1 are going to trickle down into the GT Black Series. Today though, like I said, I'm taking this out. We're going to hop on the road in this car. I haven't actually driven it for, 6 to 8 weeks now, which is, I think, criminal again, but obviously we can't exactly travel around as I intended to do so. The trickle plugs into the battery just under the bonnet, so I'll get that all sorted out, unplug the C-Tech, and get the car ready to head on out, where we can talk a bit more about the Black Series and about whether we're going to see one lined up with this lot at some point in the future. Before I go though, one quick little thing. The number plates, SH62MEE, that was chosen because 62, 6.2 litre, makes sense. The 60 on this, I told you guys at the time, was a bit random. Well, it might not be quite as random as I suggested. Think a little bit about what comes between them. 61, what does a 6 look like? Like a G. What does a 1 look like? Like a T. Yes, you've probably just worked it out. In my head, 61 could go quite nicely on a car that sits next to the SLS Black. For the time being though, let me hop on board here, get it started up and head on out. This is of course partly the facelift to the AMG GTR. They did the updates in the midlife cycle. If we just unlock it, the headlights are pretty demonic. I do quite like them, the way they flank the Panamericana front grille. Obviously, the Black Series will be even more aggressive around the front. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Coming through, though, we'll leave the SLS for the moment. You're going to be seeing much more of that very soon. Climb on board here to get this started up. And like I've said, this car does not exactly have all that many miles on the clock. Oof, only 544 for the moment. Well, we're going to add a few more today. Let's bring it into life. Perfect, even though it hasn't been driven for a while. That is the beauty of having a smart charger plugged into it. Alright, let us then head on out. Well, I'm cruising out of London on the motorways on what looks to be a pretty nice day ahead, but I want to go back a bit and talk about, I guess, the naming of the AMG GT models. Now, if we go back to summer 2016, the Goodwood Festival of Speed, that's where they chose to present the Beast of the Green Hell. The Beast of the Green Hell, the AMG GTR, the car that I loved, but a car that a lot of people thought was going to be a Black Series version of the then AMG GT is an absolute monster in its own right, but a lot of people have gone to their dealers to place names and deposits, speculating on a Black Series model arriving, the 6th Black Series model from Mercedes-AMG to ever produce. Of course, the GTR came along, and a few years later, November 2018, at the LA Auto Show, they launched the Pro. Now, the Pro was a bit of a confusing model for many people. I see it as the flagship of the refresh, the facelift, the updated screens on the inside, the new lights on the outside, a whole host of new features as well going along with that, but a flagship model of this update, I guess boosting sales along the way. Of course, straight after the Pro appeared, average speed checks, wonderful, some roadworks on this motorway, it's going to be very boring, but straight after the Pro arrived, hot on its heels, we had spy shots of a new, even more aggressive model out. It's very boring. I'm going to put the car on cruise control. That is on this side in this car. Right, done. Hot on its heels then, this more aggressive car at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. What was going on? What was that going to become? Of course, this is when everybody started talking about the GTR Black Series. Now, like I mentioned earlier, historically, the Black Series models have always had around 2 years of development time. They make sure that these are properly honed in race cars for the road. So I was thinking the Pro was going to be a fantastic stopgap to enjoy during some of this period before, fingers crossed, the Black Series in the future. Now, talking about the future and when we might have seen it, I thought the Black Series could potentially be presented this very month at the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Like I said earlier, the AMG GT3 cars have had great success there, the SLS GT3s have had great success there, they developed them there, it would have been a no-brainer, but of course that event, like many others, has been postponed now to the end of September. It remains to be seen if it will be presented there or what exactly is going to happen. Now, deposits, names, allocations. We don't exactly know how many they're going to produce. It's all speculation at the moment. Will it be 750? Will it be fewer? There were only 350 SLS Black Series, the last model, but I think there were 800 C63 Black Series models that came before that. How much is it going to cost? Historically, there's always been about a 50% uplift on the previous model, so 50% uplift on this car takes it to £270,000 or so. I don't know if that's what it's going to be, and how much demand is there going to be, particularly with what's going on at the moment. So there are all of these open questions around the GT Black Series, and I keep saying GT Black Series, by the way, not GTR Black Series, because I think it's the Black Series version of the GT platform. If you think about the SLS, you had the SLS GT, but then the SLS Black Series, and the same goes with some of the previous ones in the past. So my money is on AMG GT Black Series. Now, talking about the car, look at the spy shots of this thing. The front end of it looks like the GT3 car, that gaping front grille, and that's partly why I think it could have been launched at the N24. You can see it's got even more aggressive pins to hold on the splitters, double flicks around the corners, and there seem to be two different wing options. One massively tall wing, a la GT2 RS, which I think completely suggests that this car is going for out-and-out lap times, and even, I believe they've done timed runs at the ring, but we haven't heard the times yet. It will be interesting to see quite how quickly it's gone around. So the SLS and the C63 had optional aero kits, so I suspect similarly the new car, this is the optional aero kit with the smaller or non-aero car having the base wing like the Pro, but with a much more dramatic gurney flap at the back, that upper lip that you have at the very back of it. You can see huge holes in the front bonnet, massive flicks around the side flanks, and the back you've got quad exhaust tailpipes, like the SLS again too, set right out and wide on each side. A different style to that found on this car, with one in the centre and one on each side integrated into the diffuser, completely different setup. The thing looks like a beast. I think it looks a little bit wider than the Pro and the regular GTR, but kind of hard to tell in full. But one of the fundamental changes, it sounds, is going to be to the engine. The change away from the cross-plane to the flat-plane crank V8. The 4-litre twin-turbo V8 still, but making a substantial amount more power, probably in the 700s. Hard to say exactly, I think maybe 710, 720. That would be a big my nav letting me know about roadworks. Yes, I can see that. It would be a big number. And the rumours say it might rev up to about 10,000 RPM. This red line's at I think just over 7. 10,000 is big, really big, so a completely different driving experience. But as it goes around the ring, the spy videos have been a little bit disappointing. It doesn't make all that much noise. that is of course thanks to the OPFs, it is thanks to having the new turbo layout and the fact that a flat plane significantly reduces the sound that you get out of the cross plane anyway. So overall, it looks like a car right up my street. Special, limited, the last hurrah story to my AMG GT experience, you know, from collecting my GTR, in fact, from announcing I was going to get a GTR back at Goodwood in 2016. I've been around this platform of car for so long, I absolutely love driving them. I love them. One of my favourite cars out there, sitting right back, lots of power, rear wheel drive, and I think the next generation, by the way, after the SLS and the AMG GT, the next generation, I suspect will be a four-wheel drive 4MATIC car. I think that's the direction they're going to head with the new architecture and framework. So this is of course all speculation from my behalf, nothing official or concrete, but I've got a pretty good idea. And amusingly, if I had £1 for every single person who asked me if I was going to get one, why didn't I wait for one, why am I still getting the Pro, every question about this, I'm pretty sure that that money would buy my GT Black Series. Now when it comes to allocations, of course I'm putting my name in. I would love to have one. That's a no-brainer, to sit with the SLS. I would also love to get a C63 Black Series in the future as well. You guys know that I would like one. Oh, the guy in front, I was just going to pass him and he sped up. You know, I would love one in Solar Beam yellow. I make no secret about that. You all thought I was going to go for Solar Beam on the SLS. It was the launch colour. I don't tend to like cars in launch colours, generally, because that's quite a common spec if you can't make it unique and bespoke in some way. So with the GT Black Series, my money would be on it launching in orange. The GT3 race car facelift was in orange, and let's see, yeah. If it launches called the GT Black Series in orange at the N24 in October, or sorry, end of September, you heard it here first. Anyway, let me continue my drive. Like I said, we're heading to Little Legends. The paperwork I had to do recently to do with the customs and all that side of things has all been dealt with. Today, for the business, we need to get a few more things sorted out, as well as getting this container unloaded and prepare some of the cars to actually head on out to some customers already, which is really very exciting. So thank you to all of you who have supported this. Anyway, it's not going to be too long. It's a nice easy drive, of course, apart from the roadworks, and we will check out these new Little Legends. Of course, like I've mentioned, normally I'm driving this car still in comfort mode, because with only 500 and something miles on the clock, it's still technically being run in, but we can have a little bit of fun. It's done a few miles now, we can put it into Sport Plus, drop some gears, and this is where a very interesting topic was raised on my last video, and I am shouting for a reason, because I know that you guys on the camera hear a lot of the engine sound through the speakers. You hear a lot of that. Here in the car myself, I actually don't. I can't hear it in that way that you get on the audio recording. It's amazing how different when I watched back my video driving this car in Sport Plus mode after filming it last time, how much louder that is than I hear it. Totally odd. Totally odd. I guess it's the direction we're heading, and that's because the car has to have the OPF, the particulate filter that makes it all significantly quieter. I wonder if there's going to be some countryside to have a little bit of play on before we get to the Little Legends. We'll see in a second, otherwise I'll see you there. Well, it sounds good. It's not like the thunderous sound we're going to be getting out of the SLS, and of course that is going to be having PPF over the next couple of videos, and then it'll be time to get that out on the road. In fact, I can't wait to drive these two properly back to back on a countryside lane, just to really get a feel for how they differ. Of course, the dream will be to do that at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, but I am going to have to wait a little bit longer for that one. The thing with this car is it's got so much torque, it just pulls away, but without very much drama. It's not a crazy dramatic thing to drive. You get some of those burbles when you drop down the gears. And it's very quick, obviously. It's very quick. Anyway, not too far to go. I have arrived, the container has just arrived as well, and inside there we have a series of Little Legends which need to be unloaded, so we've got the tractor here to kind of lift them out. We'll get the boxes out, then we will get unpacking them and see what they look like. Step one, Lee is having to cut open the container, and then yes, we'll be able to see what's inside. This has been quite a process actually to work out how to lift them down, but this will go one by one. We will get them all out, and I can't wait to see which is which. There are one or two really nice ones in some of these boxes, as you're going to see in a few minutes. And that is the final one. The container has left. We now have our 6 little legends to open up. They were transported here by Far and Wide Logistics. Big thanks, because this has involved a lot of work, as you can imagine. As I mentioned actually the last time I came out, to do with everything that's going on at the moment. Next though, it's going to be like Christmas. It is not an easy task. We're kind of taking it in turns to work through and get all of these crates opened up. You can see some of them here though, including on the right, the British Racing Green Series 1 Roadster. That is looking lovely. I can't wait to get them fully out of the crates. Obviously they're well packaged, takes a bit of time to get them opened up. Look at some of the details that we're getting on these. The leather strap across the bonnet, the windscreen, the race version. Inside the barn quickly, a very quick look. The new ones of course, with the Little Legends cap that we've got there as well. We of course have these ones which we've seen before, the Cobra, the Series 1 and the XK Spider. So those, plus the one that's in the office, is that 13? We've got the 6 here, 9, 12, yes, literally 13 Little Legends. Back out into the countryside lanes where of course this car comes back into life. It is so direct and wonderful in the way that it drives. Obviously I had those plans to take it to the track, and this, as I've said before, is not a car to kind of daily drive, because, I mean, listen to it, you can hear the clunks of the cage behind. Obviously it's very much fitted out to be track spec, so things like, for example, a very low front splitter as we come to a stop to let the car through. Narrow lanes here, over a little jump. I love the seamless feel of it, the way it just goes up to the next gear. A couple of bangs on the downshift, the rear wheel steering really comes into its own on a road like this. Yeah, I love driving this car. I just wish I could drive it in more anger. So this is where the Black Series will be an interesting proposition, because of course that will be like this, but even more so. Now the GTR Roadster, which is also coming into the garage, I would say is probably the more suited car to this kind of environment. He says, as we've got a lot of cars in a very small space, whereas the Black Series will be more the kind of collection, drive less frequently, more special car on the occasions it does come out. That got really busy really quickly. Oh, you gotta love these kind of places in the UK, just very tight, very twisty, small roads. The perfect place to have some fun. Lots of bikers, lots of bicycles, as you would expect. Anyway, I think it's going to be just under an hour to get back home, so let's crack on and get this back, and a few more things about the Black Series. Back home and completely exhausted. That was actually quite hard work to open up all of the crates out in the sunshine, but it's awesome now to have those new Little Legends here, even if I might have got a little bit sunburnt in the process. As I said, it took a while to get that container through customs. Obviously, with everything that's been going on, it took a bit longer than normal, but now some of those cars can go on to their new owners, and we're going to have some new ones as well in the not too distant future. For now though, I'd like to talk a little bit more about the GT Black Series that is going to be coming soon. In particular, one thing I didn't say earlier, something that it inherits from AMG's hypercar, the AMG 1, which is to do with the active part of that larger rear wing. Now the wing is actually double tiered. There is a lower wing sitting below the upper wing, and then on the back edge of the upper wing there is that extra smaller wing which acts as a flap to raise and lower. Now of course that will go up to give more downforce when cornering, and it will sit flat to offer DRS, drag reduction system, when putting the foot flat to the floor. And I don't think that is going to be the only feature that that car gets from the new Mercedes-Benz hypercar, so I'm looking forward to finding out more. Now I do think that will be the upgrade wing. As I mentioned with the SLS Black Series, they pretty much all have the Aero Package, but it consists of those flicks that you have around the corners of the front bumper and having the fixed rear wing at the back. There are a couple that were spec'd without it, but they do still get the carbon splitter, they get this carbon piece on the bonnet, a carbon piece around the side as well, so they do look different to the normal SLSs, and of course the wide body package that the car wears and the same amount of power, but not quite so dramatic without the wings. So I expect similarly in the case of the AMG GT that most of the cars will be spec'd with the upgrade options. Now, a few big differences to this one. It will have that grille that comes much lower. It will have even more aggressive struts for the front splitter to hold them. I think it will have fins, canards, flicks, however you want to call them, more attached to the body, probably still just 2 of them, and obviously the massive wing at the rear, the holes in the bonnet for cooling, those side carbon panels, lots of things that I'm looking forward to see how they work. Of course, when it comes to allocations, I think it's no surprise with these two in the garage that I would love to have one. Fingers crossed. I've been a big fan of the AMG GTR. I loved my ownership experience of it. This, as I've mentioned many times, is basically my dream car that I've been waiting to add to the collection forever. The Pro, I'm going to enjoy a lot more when we're able to get out and travel with it. The Roadster is coming later. So I think it would probably fit quite well in the garage. So fingers crossed, if I'm lucky, that will be possible. Of course, there are a lot of unknowns at the moment in terms of the market, in terms of production, in terms of, well, how all of this is going to go. We'll have to find out, and most importantly, have to hope that it's going to be as good a car as I expect it will. And I imagine we're going to be hearing a Nürburgring Nordschleife lap time in the not too distant future. For today though, still fun to go out in the Pro. I cannot wait to get that to 1,000 miles, to drive it properly, and to go and have some fun on the racetrack. And fingers crossed, that is going to be in the coming months. For today though, that is all. Like I said, I'm exhausted, need to go home and have a sleep, but thank you very much for watching, guys. I appreciate your support as always, and that's it for this time. I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.